Shawarmas have exploded in popularity in Canada over the last few decades and indeed across the world. I'm here at Alibaba's. It's a popular shawarma restaurant on busy Bloor Street. And I'm going to find out how shawarma became a global phenomenon. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing today?
Good.
How can I help?
What do you have today?
I have everything.
All right.
Relax.
Can I get a sandwich? Can I get 2 sandwiches, 1 beef and 1 chicken? Yeah.
Chicken, please.
Okay. It's yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I'll try.
much. Thank you. So Hassam, before we eat this delicious meal, I want to ask you some questions about shawarma.
Let's do it.
Where does shawarma actually come from?
So we don't know the exact origins of shawarma. And what we do know is that we can trace shawarma most likely to about 180 years ago in central Anatolia in Turkey, which was then the Ottoman Empire. And this dish has existed in the form of what is known as the char kebab, which is on a horizontal spit, but it looks very much like the shawarma. So this kebab has existed since the 1600s and it was widely enjoyed, especially in those central regions. But about 170, 180 years ago, somebody had the idea, and there's many competing claims to who exactly it was that had the idea in the central Anatolia region of actually turning that horizontal spit on which the shawarma was rotating, on which the doner was rotating, or the char kebab at the time, and making it into a vertical spit. The basic idea seems to have been that if it's vertical, there is less space for the distribution of the fat as it's melting, for it to actually drip off into the fire. And what will happen is as it sort of trickles down along the longer vertical spit going towards the ground, it'll get reabsorbed into the shawarma. And so the final product will be tastier and just more delicious. So in that sense, we go then from the char kebab, which was the horizontal kebab, to the vertical kebab, which became known as doner. Now, all of these words, we have doner, right, that we are more familiar with, some of these words. We have gyro in Greek, right? We have shawarma. All of them, more or less, in the different languages mean the same thing, which is that it's something that's turning.
So Hassam, tell me how shawarmas or doners or gyros, how they spread across the world. I'm guessing it was migration of Muslims from the Ottoman Empire, right?
Yes, so migrations of Muslims and non-Muslims as well in certain cases. So we can talk about a few different examples. Of course, from central Anatolia, when something became popular there, the first place it would spread was to Constantinople, to Istanbul, which was, of course, a center of culture in the world at the time. So many people flocked to it from different regions. Coming closer to the modern period, you have a lot of Turkish immigrants going to Germany, for example, where they will develop this German doner, which is very fascinating that, Germany literally has the city of Hamburg and associated with burgers and certain other types of foods. But at the same time, the German doner is on par in terms of its popularity in that region as well. Similarly, it would become very popular in Iraq. And it would become very popular in the Levant, in Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, in that particular region. And again, they would all have their own slight variations on it. But in the Middle Eastern context is where it becomes what we know as shawarma, more strictly. In Egypt and other places as well, of course, it's going to continue to spread, but it spread fairly quickly. From the Levant, you have a lot of non-Muslim as well as Muslim Arabs moving particularly to Central America as migrants, and that is how you get what is known as the tacos al pastor in Mexico and in the southern United States as well. And the name itself, it's in the taco format now, actually, right? And the name itself actually pays tribute to the Middle Eastern origins. Al pastor means the shepherd, right? So that association of where those people came from that introduced this food in that particular land.
So it's interesting because it
yeah.
came to Mexico through migration,
Yes.
but then it somehow took on its own like Mexican flavor, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It includes pork.
It does, and it's
Yeah.
usually made with pork. And there's actually a return in recent years that I've read about, which is that, someone in Mexico had the idea, hey, maybe we should try this with chicken, right? Which is hilarious because it's become so associated as a food that's made with pork in that particular context. So it's a work in progress. And then, of course, in Canada, we have like the Canadian iteration, which is the doner, which is actually first introduced in Canada by Greek migrants who had taken it from Anatolia, where they originally lived. There was a Greek and Turkish population exchange in the early 20th century. So of course they took their food traditions with them back to Greece. And then from Greece, as they migrated, they took them back to what's known as the gyro, right? They took it back to all the places in which they were settling, including particularly Atlantic Canada. So it becomes very popular in Atlantic Canada as doner under that name. So these names have sometimes been used interchangeably to the point that a few years ago, the city of Halifax actually declared doner as its official food of the city. And then from that point, it would spread even more so in the prairie provinces. And you can see doner places pretty much everywhere in Edmonton, Calgary, and even, the culture changes. So why is it that in Toronto, all the places are usually called shawarma places, but in Edmonton, in Calgary, they're usually called doner places? And that's the fascinating sort of the linguistic and the cultural shift that happens, right? Because in Toronto, the Muslim population that has spread that food has arrived fairly recently, so they retain more of like that original cultural association that it is shawarma, that's what it's called. And sometimes people will even be offended if you call it something other than that, right? Whereas the older spread, right, more earlier in history, which happened in Alberta, actually retains the name of doner.
So interesting that a food that arose from the Ottoman Empire spread all over the world and took on different flavors. It shows how interconnected we are, as a society, that we draw from different cultures and elements. We make it our own in some way. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Well, let's dig in. Let's eat
All right.
before the food gets cold.
Bismillah. Let's do it.
On behalf of Let the Quran Speak, I want to say thank you. You've helped us become the most widely watched Muslim TV show in Canada. I want to appeal to you to continue to support us. You can visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. We also accept e-transfers to iGive at QuranSpeaks.com. And we're now on Patreon, so you can make a monthly contribution. May God bless you and your loved ones today and always.